So the common way to tension 1.25" trick lines is by actually using a pulley system. And the pulley system we have here is one we've demonstrated before within the long line system, where we're using really solid, big hardware, because we know that we're going to be putting these hardware pieces through pretty high standing loads and load cycles. We want to make sure that everything's strong and rated to what we're going to be putting it through. One of the rules of thumb that we like to go by is because that we have a working load limit of 12 kN on these pulleys, and also a lot of the slackline webbing manufacturers have a similar working load limit. We don't really want to go beyond that, especially when we're creating our standing tension. It's also best practice to actually try not to go above that when you're doing your big flips and bounces. So it's kind of, you got to kind of feel it out. When we do tension this stuff, one of the advantages of using 1.25" and web locks and all these other little pieces of hardware is you actually get a little bit more variability in what you can set up and where you can set up. The pulleys give you a lot more throws, so you can actually go longer and bigger. Some people climb up to 300 feet at tricklining. That's pretty awesome. So the pulleys actually give you that sort of flexibility versus the ratchet systems that are common in most retail stores. Another thing that we want to mention, and this applies to both the ratchet systems and the pulley systems, is you always want to make sure to back everything up. Ratchet systems, it's really common practice to actually do a secondary piece of rope around your anchor and in through the ratchet. That will prevent, in case there is a failure at the anchor, any sort of extension and gear going flying towards you or any sort of bystander. That's good practice, like I said, with both the ratchet systems and the pulley systems. So I guess in conclusion, a couple of just key points on this is when we're setting up tricklining, we know that we're going to be going through a lot bigger loads, a lot heavier load cycles. So we want to make sure we use the strongest gear that's available to keep ourselves safe and to keep us slacklining for longer and longer.